Are you afraid of being full of faith? I know I sound like I'm about ready to do a commercial, but are you? Are you afraid of being full of faith? Because faith for a lot of people means religion. So does faith equal religion in your mind, and that kind of turns you off? Or faith is something that hasn't been proven, and that kind of turns you off? Or faith is about trust, and you just don't have any left? And maybe faith is about success, and you're not ready to have it. So you become afraid of your faith, because with faith will bring your success. It's not unusual for people to be afraid of success. Faith and fear are two sides of the same coin. You either have faith or you're had by it. Now, having faith means you know there's only one power and all is possible through that one power, which is, of course, within you. All the things that we talk about every week. Faith is knowing that you're made of that God stuff, or whatever you want to call that, divine power. Being had by faith means you're coming from fear. You're owned and enslaved by those negative ideas and experiences of your history or the news or what's going on in the world today. We get so full of fear and anxiety about that our faith gets diminished. Or we're trapped in the idea that our supposed failures, or what we call failures, is proof of our lack of faith. And it scares you to try even more, to try it again. Whereas the truth is, our supposed failures, or that, let's flip that around, that which we've had to learn from, we thought unintentionally, came out of our beliefs anyway, and we moved forward from them. Or we can and will move forward from them. When we move from having faith in prayer, or having faith in God, or light, or spirit, or source, or having faith in anything, period, and upgrade to a way of being faith. I know I bring this around, being instead of doing, being instead of inning, so to speak. But having that feeling, faith is a feeling. Faith is an allowance of the knowledge and the knowing of our Constitution. You know, last week on the 17th, Thursday, was Constitution Day. That was the day that the Constitution was actually enacted. And last week I was talking about your Constitution. What is your Constitution? What are your supreme laws? Your supreme laws. That's what's important to you having faith. These supreme laws opens us up to experience life in the same way that, say, an MD. So a doctor's in a restaurant and somebody starts choking or has some sort of emergency. And what does the doctor do? The doctor goes and helps. She gets out of her seat, she stops whatever she's doing, and she helps. Why? Because she is a doctor. She is a physician. And that never goes away. That is a part of her 24 hours a day. Well, you and I, as metaphysicians, our call is also 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. This knowing and being, when we are in it, it becomes automatic. It's our automatic response, whether there's an up or a down in our life. And it really doesn't even matter how that up or how that down showed up, except for the fact of how we want to react to it. And we react to it based on our faith, based on the supreme laws in our life. So what is faith? We've already learned faith is a feeling. But here's some things that faith isn't. Faith isn't about bargaining. Faith isn't about begging, manipulating, or pleading. Tempting as it is, especially in these last 6 months, to beg and plead and bargain and manipulate, that's not what faith is. Faith is, like I said, a calm knowingness that all is well, no matter what's going on around you, no matter the condition of this world, of this country. Faith is the knowing that all will be well. We may have to do certain things. We may have to take action in mind and body and heart and gut, but all will be well. Faith is not superstition. It doesn't require rituals or dogma or any sort of magic to be revealed, though those kind of things can be meaningful, and you get to decide if you want to bring those things into your lives, if somehow that uplifts you, that brings you into the moment. But you don't have to be religious or even spiritual to have or be faith. The definition of faith is something that we have complete trust or confidence in, or someone we have complete trust or confidence in. You may feel like you don't have faith, but having, quote unquote, faith in me, or faith in this teaching, or faith in what any of the other ministers that speak or people that speak here at the New Thought Spiritual Center, having faith in them and their education and their learning and their consciousness, you have now stepped into faith. Faith is not something we turn on or off. It's more like a dimmer switch. We always have that knob in our hands to turn it up or turn it down. We always wanted it more up, of course, but we still have that choice. Faith is the loving experience we are having, even if we don't like this experience. I've spoken about this before, loving something without having to like it. I didn't like having kidney stones, I've talked about before, but I learned to love the experience because it taught me something. It taught me that understanding that by keeping love active, no matter the experience, and that wasn't a fun experience, we learn to avoid, or if it's a pleasant experience, we learn to encourage that by using our logic, our knowledge, our brain power, our feelings, our heart, our memory, our intuition, and our gut to heal and prosper. That's the love of it, the being taught by the experience. Faith looks beyond what's in front of us in the 3D world and puts us in touch with the multiverse of intuition. Faith is not static. It's not something we just have and forget about. It requires practice. It requires expansion. Again, all the knowledge and education and all these years and all the ordination and all this kind of stuff doesn't mean that I don't continue to expand my faith, to expand my enlightenment. It's like peace and justice. They are constant things, constant ideas to expand. And we build our faith muscles, of course, through spiritual practice, whatever that is. And when we do that, when things are going well, and you get to decide what that means, when a crisis shows up, those practices are now second nature and allow us to react differently to what's coming at us. In order to have faith, we must have a conviction that all is well. In order to keep faith, we must allow nothing to enter our thought which will weaken this conviction. Faith is built up from belief, acceptance, and trust. Whenever anything enters our thought which destroys in any degree one of these attitudes, to that extent, faith is weakened. That comes from the Science of Mind book. But we can undo this weakening by stepping back in to faith, to our idea of faith, to using faith, to being in faith, spiritual practice. Because faith is the path back to ease from fear and anxiety. That doesn't mean you won't be anxious sometimes, but you can be anxious and still have faith. Intentional imagination, visualization, envisioning is a spiritual practice. And some of these practices get poo-pooed. I have heard recently, and this was a New Thought minister kind of poo-pooing this idea of visualization, of using your imagination to inspire the universe to bring experiences into your life that you want to declare and have. But research, medical and scientific research, confirms that your brain doesn't know the difference between experiencing, witnessing, and imagining. Tor Wager, who was the director of the Cognitive and Affective Neuroscience Laboratory at CU Boulder, and was the co-senior author of a paper published in the journal Neuron, wrote, "Imagination is a neurological reality that can impact our brains and bodies in ways that matter for our well-being." So if you imagine a barking dog, a furry spider, or another perceived threat, and your brain and body respond, they're going to respond much like they would if you experience the real thing. The cortisol starts running, the neurons start snapping, and, you step into fear. I'm sure you've all experienced that. I know I have. If you have a memory that is no longer useful for you or is crippling you, you can use imagination to tap into it, change it, and reconsolidate it, updating the way you think about and experience something. That was from Marianne Redden, who's from the Department of Psychology and Neuroscience at CU Boulder, and was part of writing that research and the article in Neuron. Your imagination is part of your faith. When you have faith in your imagination and what you're visualizing, that becomes a prayer, an affirmative prayer. Faith operates every day. It's a choice. We get to dial up or dial down. You would think this whole month is about faith, as I talked about faith last week as well. But it's ease, of course. The September theme is ease. But with faith, you get ease, even when junk around you is blowing up. Faith rises and falls like the tides of an invisible sea. You realize, I think, that it is more valuable, more mysterious, altogether more immense than anything you can learn or decide upon in college. Flannery O'Connor said that. I think that it is more valuable, more mysterious, altogether more immense than anything you can learn in college. When we respond to the world with love and compassion, we're practicing faith. When we surrender our ego, our need to be right, or our need to fight, and allow ourselves to be completely immersed in the divine that is within us, we are practicing faith. The results are a calm, an ease, a peace, a revelation that all can be handled, even during COVID, even during unemployment, even during illness, wealth, or any prosperity or success. Now you may ask, what? During prosperity or success? Well, many people see success as a burden, and the rest of their lives start to reflect that. But when we are in faith, when we are in ease, we can get ourselves out of that, accept the success. So fall begins Tuesday, is the autumn equinox, I believe at 6:30 a.m. is the exact moment in Pacific time. And you can figure out the times where you're at. That is the autumn equinox. That is when fall begins. And the key words of the fall season are reflection, harvest, gratitude, balance, and self-love. Now I want to read something else from the Science of Mind book, where Ernest Holmes said, if one will have faith in their self, faith in one's fellow people, in the universe and in God, or whatever you want to call it, that faith will light the place in which one finds themselves. And by the light of this faith, you will be able to see that all is good. And the light shed by this faith will light the way for others. We become conscious of darkness only when we are without faith. For faith is ever the light of our day and the light on our way, making that way clearly visible to us, even when to others it may beset with obstacles and the ongoing rough. As the equinox balances the light and dark, because that's actually what happens at that moment. At 6:30 a.m. on Tuesday, at the equinox, there will be a balance of light and dark. That'll be the day and the night will be even. The seasons will change. The harvest will become honored again. And we step into a new cycle of growth. A cycle where we invite more peace to honor the International Peace Day, which is on the 21st, tomorrow. We invite more gratitude for any growth in the last year. And yes, you have had growth during this pandemic. And you need to recognize that. And you need to also recognize what areas of your life may need to be balanced again. Because fall is about the rebalancing. Or maybe things you need to let go. Or maybe things that you need to put on ice for a while and let sit. On the equinox, everything is in balance. There's no you and me. There's no this and that. Instead, there's just one at that moment. In all of the universe, there's just one planet, one world, one communion of souls into a one mind. Even though that is there at all times, the movement of the planet recognizes that at the equinox. So I want to end with that. On Tuesday, like I said, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, I want to invite you to do something. I want to invite you to get up. If you're not up that early, get up. Acknowledge your personal growth cycle. Harvest a gratitude list, whether it's in a gratitude journal you may have, or just a piece of paper, and ask the universe what you can do to bring harmony and balance to the soil of your life's garden, to your harvest for the fall. And again, like we do in spring, do a fall deep clean around your house. Maybe not at 6:30 on Tuesday morning, but sometime next week. And release what no longer brings you joy. And change some of the rhythms and habits that no longer serve you, that you've realized in this moment of contemplation. Ask the universe to inform you through your gut, through your intuition, what's next for you. I want to conclude with a quote from the Dalai Lama. And he said, "This is my simple religion. There is no need for temples, no need for complicated philosophy. Our own brain, our own heart, and may I add our gut, our divine matrix, is our temple. The philosophy of this simple religion is kindness. Make that your religion. Make that your faith. Kindness, of course, to others, but kindness to one's self. Because when you are in kindness during this fall season, when you are in kindness in this change of the planet's life, in this equinox, that's a faith that you never, ever have to fear. Thank you so much. Namaste.